Alright, real talk. Why is it that small town romances just always hit different? Is it the cozy vibes? Is it that everyone knows all of your business? Is it the forced proximity that you know is just absolutely going to serve? Surely I'm not the only one who feels like small town just hits perfect. Hi besties, it's Annie, your Bookish Chaos coordinator, and welcome back to the Cozy Chaos of Reading with me. Today, I need to talk to you guys about small town romances. I really want to just dive a little bit deeper into why that is one of my most favorite romance tropes. There are some things in small town romances that I absolutely love, like the close-knit community vibe, the forced proximity, because there's really not that much room to really get away. There's the friends to lovers and enemies to lovers that equally scratch something just right in my brain. And all of it gets wrapped up in about 350 pages, and I will eat it up every single time. And whilst you guys know I am obviously going to give y'all some recommendations, do drop some for me in the comments down below, because I'm always looking for more books. Small town romances have been absolutely the vibe of the moment, and I need more of them. Before we dive in, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button and ring that notification bell so that you know when the next video is going live. But do go get your tea, get your cozy blanket, let's cuddle up and talk about the small town vibes. I am desperately trying to finish this cup of tea before it goes cold because it is so nearly there, okay? Now, if you guys have been following along for a little while, you guys know that I have done a number of reading vlogs and wrap-ups where small town and cowboy romances have been the main feature because, like I said, this has been my vibe this year and it is not going away anytime soon. And honestly, I think the biggest reason why I love small town romances in general is that community vibe. The vibe of everyone is just in your business at all times. And let me tell you, if it's not the meddling grandmother that is like absolutely putting you two together at the grocery shop and then accidentally locking the front door so you guys have to just like spend time together, honey, that's me in my next life. The way that we get these communities come together and just like everyone is really vibing for our main characters and like everyone is just like absolutely rooting for them, is doing their bit to make sure that they be chillin', and honestly it just absolutely serves, and I really love it. And I am kind of the person that I'm like, look, my business is my business, do not be getting involved, but when it's in a book, honey, I want everyone rallying around our main couple and I want everyone doing their bit to put them in these forced proximity situations because they absolutely eat. One of the best like full community vibes that I think I've read in a while has been the Dream Harbor series. Now look, I'm gonna be totally honest, this series as a whole hasn't been 5 stars for me, but the community vibes has been. Like even just in the first book, we've got all of these other people coming around trying to get them together, trying to convince them that actually maybe they would be better together. And there's all sorts of nuances, and no matter which story you read, whether it's the Dream Harbor series or another one entirely, you're gonna have little nuances and little things added in, and they just end up in this big melting pot of small town joy. And I'll tell you what, I'm gonna be eating from that melting pot every dang time. And it's not just the Pumpkin Spice Cafe that has some of the most immaculate community vibes. You guys know I came with a list. I made a whole Excel spreadsheet for this video, okay? You've got Downpour by Maggie Gates, you've got Baby Moon or Burst by Ava Hunter, A Witch's Guide to Fake Dating a Demon by Sarah Hawley, and Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldry. All of these books are my absolute recommendations if you are looking for that hardcore community vibe, because every single one of them serve. Now, if you're looking for some forced proximity, both the Cinnamon Bun Bookstore and the Baby Dragon Cafe are absolute serves, but I've got some more for you, don't worry. But I think the reason that forced proximity works so well in this small town setting is because as a general, a lot of these books are very much set up of you've got this small isolated town and then there's nothing for miles. So if you want to get out, you've got to really plan for this. Like you've really got to be trekking. You can't just nip out to the next town because that next town could be an hour away or more. Look, as a UK girly, I know that driving an hour is a long time. I know that some of my American people will drive an hour and think nothing of it, but let me tell you, an hour is a long time, okay? There's a lot I could do in an hour. But I think that the isolation of some of these small towns just really adds to the forced proximity vibe, because it's like every time you want to go out to the bar, they're there. Every time you're going and doing your weekly grocery shop, they're there. Let me guess, when you're getting your hair, getting your nails done, doing whatever it is that you need to do and taking stuff off of your task list, guess who's there? The other character. And honestly, I live, breathe and die for it. Forced proximity might actually be one of my most favorite tropes because there is something about about being in someone's pocket, but like not necessarily because you want to be initially, but you end up in this kind of routine of, well, we're just always together and we always do stuff together, that as soon as you're then taken out of that standard routine and as soon as you're told, oh, but you can do this by yourself now, you sit there and you go, it just doesn't really feel the same. And if you're looking for something other than the Baby Dragon Cafe and the Cinnamon Bun bookstore, then go check out Fight by Sloane St. James, Tame the Heart by Ava Hunter, and Far Away by Lainey Lawson. I'm telling you, none of these books will disappoint. Now, Friends to Lovers and Enemies to Lovers is a battle that will continue to rage on until the end of time, let's be totally honest. I, however, am quite happy to be Switzerland in the middle. I will dip my toes into Friends to Lovers, I will dip my toes into Enemies to Lovers, and either way, I'm gonna be having a good time. But I think when it comes to small town romances, the Friends to Lovers storyline just has a little bit of added zhuzh, a little bit of added oomph. You know it's because they almost certainly went to school together, or at the very least, if they weren't in the same year, they did go to the same school. They're in the same kind of circle of friends. They're constantly around each other. They grew up together. They went through all of that awkward phase of teenage years together. And I think there's something to be said about kind of knowing all of these different parts of someone and kind of being with them through that growing up stage and then finally falling in love. And let me tell you, it makes for some of the best slow burn romances because you know it's just there under the surface, but you've got to sit and wait through 300 pages. And I would sit rather impatiently, but I will wait the 300 pages and I will absolutely eat it up every single time. But on the flip side to that, the Enemies to Lovers vibe is also one I'm gonna absolutely root for. And I think it's the juxtaposition between the two of where you've got the Friends to Lovers where you've seen all of these different parts of someone, but ultimately you know they're a good person at heart. And then you've got Enemies to Lovers where all you're really seeing in that moment is the bad parts of them. All you're really seeing is the things that annoy you and irritate you, and you're picking out all of these bad things and then somehow you still fall in love with them anyway. And in a small town romance, you know that's going to be paired with a meddling grandmother, and you know there's going to be some forced proximity, and you know that someone is just going to like put in a good word at just the right time, or they're going to come and save you when your car breaks down in the middle of nowhere. And every single time, guess who's eating this up? Do I need to say it again? And two of my favorite Enemies to Lovers recommendations is going to be The Catch by Amy Lee and The Long Game by Elena Armas. Now these are two very different vibes, I will tell you, but these are two absolute recommendations. I absolutely loved them. I actually also tabbed The Long Game, which I had such a fun time reading this, just the whole dynamic of it. I was screaming from page 1 all the way through to the end, and pretty much the same with The Catch. But if you needed another Enemies to Lovers, go check out Off to the Races by Elsie Silver, which is in her Gold Rush Ranch series. And then if you are looking for a Friends to Lovers, go check out Love Like Farms by BK Borison. That one was so cute. On the flip side to growing up together, to going to school together, you've then also got to take into account that you get out of towners. People who don't know what they're doing here, who've just managed to stumble across this random little town in the middle of nowhere and have gone, actually, this is kind of cute, I might stick around for a while. And you know that they are absolutely gonna find their one true love. And now, how many times I have to say this is one of my favorite tropes before you guys get the point? Like anything that pretty much falls under the small town romance bracket, I'm gonna absolutely adore. But I think the out-of-towners storyline is really interesting because you usually get someone who's come from a city, and almost certainly, especially when it's paired with a cowboy small town romance, someone is gonna be like, oh, you're a city girl or you're a city guy and you don't know what it is to really work on a ranch, or you don't really know what it is to work in this specific way, or you know, really know who all of the people are. And there's so many nuances to the small town vibe and the small town community that these out-towners just don't really understand. And a lot of the time you get this like little bit of resistance from the out-of-towner who is just like, oh, you know, I don't really want grandma in my business, or like, I don't really know you, like, why are you asking me so many personal questions? And I think that's really interesting because you almost get this Enemies to Lovers vibe with them versus the entire town, where they're just like, look, just like, don't get involved. I just came here to have some time away from my crazy hectic life and I don't really need you all getting involved. Or you get this whole vibe where they're like, I came to a small town because I wanted to be involved. Like, let me tell you my life story because I want to know yours and I want to live here forever and just be fully integrated. And both of those, I think both of them just like have their own uniqueness to them. But I think one thing that would be really fun to read is two out-of-towners managing to find the same small town and both of them having the opposite dynamic. One being like, I don't want everyone in my business. Why are you all harassing me right now? I'm just trying to pick up my groceries for the week. And then one of them being like, oh my god, please tell me your great grandmother's pie recipe because I'm gonna make it tonight. So some of my favorite out-of-towner romances are gonna be two from Elsie Silver. You've got Wild Side and Wild Eyes. You've also got Spells, Strings and Forgotten Things by Brianne Randall if you're looking for a little bit of magic-y vibes in there. And then you've also got Strung Along by Hannah Cowan. I feel like I've kind of already covered small town natives a little bit in the Friends to Lovers vibe where you know that they both went to the same school. But even if they weren't necessarily friends throughout school or did all of the growing up together, I love when we get these two characters who for some reason have been on opposite sides of this 100 people town and somehow magically manage to find each other at just the right time, and there is just a level of fated mates that really like squeezes itself in there. There is just this kind of vibe of they were just meant to find each other at exactly that right time. Like the cosmic justice of it all just absolutely makes me squeal. And some of my favorite small town natives are Holding the Reins by Paisley Hope, Lost and Lassoed by Lila Sage, Wyatt and Cash by Jessica Peterson. Now, of course, this isn't the only things that really fall under the small town vibe, so let me just run through some other recommendations for you guys quickly and tell you why these ones are real standouts for me. So we've got The Fiancé Dilemma by Elena Armas. This is a fake engagement and it kind of ties into that forced proximity thing as well, but I love the way that almost everyone who is native to the small town knows that this is probably fake, and yet they go along with it for the sake of our main characters, and they're like, do you know what, if this is what you want to do, then great, like we will support you through all of your ups, your downs, your middles, your good ideas and your bad ones, and we are just going to be here for you regardless. And it's that community vibe of the support and also the fact that it is a fake dating, because that is obviously a true win trope for me. It just wraps itself up so beautifully in this book. Love redesigned by Lauren Asher, and frankly all of the Lakefront Billionaires series, you've got this really interesting small town that very much keeps to itself, who not necessarily doesn't do outside people, but is naturally a little bit more wary of them. But then you've also got these billionaires who live here, and they really do embody that billionaire lifestyle where they're like, yeah, I will just like pay for a random trip to here, there and everywhere. Like I will get you some really expensive stuff. Like you need a new kitchen, that's fine, I'll do it. But also the way that they're so down to earth at the same time, and we'll go talk to Margaret in the grocery shop, and we'll go make sure that Libby at the library has everything that she could possibly need. And there is something about this that I really love, and the Lakefront Billionaire series in particular, the way that there's so many other things that really feed into it. So this one in particular, she is an interior designer and I think he works on houses if I'm not mistaken, and the way that they like kind of reconnect, and it's that reconnection that really fuels that small town vibe, and I absolutely love it. You got Chasing the Wild by Elliot Rose, which is a little bit on the darker side for anyone who wants to start dipping their toe into that little bit darker side of life, because we've got the ex's dad, so we've got this forbidden romance kind of trope in here, and they end up kind of locked basically in his cabin and on his farm because there's this huge winter storm that comes in, and they have no outside contact except for very few people. And there is something about the forced proximity mixed with the kind of forbidden romance trope of this that just really comes together in this like weird kind of melting pot that you're not quite sure if it's sweet or it's spicy, but it does something good. Small Favors by Erin A. Craig is one that definitely is an outlier on this list. It's got the kind of small town vibes, but it is a fantasy thriller, so it's a very different vibe. The reason I am including it in this is because there is a little romance subplot in this, but there is something about this book that really just scratches my brain. So with this being an overarching thriller, it is a very interesting book because you really get to see the community vibes of the small town, how everyone brings something to the town, how everyone has their role to play. And then you've got this thriller aspect where you've got these out-of-towners that come in and everyone's not quite sure what to do with them. Some people are happy to trust them, some people are a little bit more hesitant, and then slowly over time this chaos ensues, and then nobody trusts anyone in a town that has been in this little valley in the middle of nowhere that that has trusted each other and has lived with each other for generations to suddenly just be torn apart is honestly a work of art. And the little romance subplot in this I do really enjoy, and let me tell you, I did not trust anyone at so many points in this book. Even our main character who we're following, I was like, I don't even know if I can trust you anymore, but I ate it up. Funny Story by Emily Henry is another really interesting one. This isn't necessarily marketed as a small town romance, I don't believe, and even when you're reading this, there's nothing that specifically makes it stand out as a small town. It's got this really interesting community vibe in it where the people who are important to the main characters are all kind of interconnected. There's grandmas, there's grandpas, there's this long lost relative or whatever, and the people who are important are connected very heavily. But the big thing about this book is the fact that it's the ex's bestie's ex, and they get together. It's kind of weird. It's kind of a little bit all over the place. It took me a little while to get into this, but I think it's the fact that it just all seems really chill. It seems like a slow slice of life. It seems like, let's go out and watch sunrise at the beach. Let's go out for poker night at so-and-so's granddad's place. Like, it's those kind of vibes that really imprint this to me as a smaller town romance. Like I said, I'm not sure if it's an absolute small town. It doesn't feel like a super isolated location, but at the same time, it also doesn't feel like it's in the middle of a big city. Alright besties, that is a wrap on today's quick little chat about some of my favorite small town romances and why. Long story short, I am here for it all. If it says small town or it feels like that small town vibe, guess who's gonna be first in line? Me. I want to go live in a small town. I want to go pet somebody's horse. I want to go get Grandma Ethel's pie recipe. I don't even know what's going on anymore, but I want to be there. Let me know in the comments if you guys have small town romances true. Is there a particular trope within the small town vibes that really gets you more than the others? Which one is your favorite? Also, like I said at the start of this video, if you've got any recommendations, let a girlie know because I love getting recommendations from you guys. All of my links are in the description down below. Go message me on Instagram for recommendations, comment, you know, all of that good stuff, but don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. It really helps me out, and I love all of you guys for watching my videos and being here, so thank you so much. But also don't forget to check out my Fable book club. Bring your blanket, bring your favorite beverage, and let's go hang out over there. But thank you guys so much for coming to hang out with me. I hope you have an amazing Cozy Chaos day and that your next read is a 5-star. I'll see you guys next time. Bye!